We are going to talk about this Goto, right? So how Goto works and what is the limitation of using this particular keyword. So let's understand. If we consider this particular program, so there are two things whenever we want to use Goto. The first thing is label. So what is the label here? The first label is L1. So whenever you write down any label, so this is my label. Okay. So I'm writing down like this L1 and then I will write down colon. And whenever I will say go to L1 in my program, at that time control will automatically go to line number 5. So that is the main idea of go to. So for example, in what is the purpose of this particular program? I want to write down table of 17 using go to. So that is the objective. So how we are going to achieve it? When so the main program is here, right? What we are doing here, we are incrementing value of a by 1 and then we are multiplying 17 with a. So the main idea of multiplication of 17 with different numbers is achieved using line number 6 and 7. So whenever value of a becomes 11, at that time my task is already performed. So at that time I won't revisit this line 6 and 7 and I will go somewhere where I can end my particular program. So I will say go to L2 and then L2 is here. So the control will directly jump to line number 11, right? So what is the purpose of go to? Again, like we have seen in the case of uh, if else, we are doing selective execution. In the case of loops, we are doing repeated execution. So here also we are doing repetitive execution. If you consider this portion, then it's saying if a is not equal to 11, then we'll go to L1. So that means this is nothing but it's kind of for loop, you can say, where value of initial value of a is 1 and when value of a becomes whenever value of a is less than 11, at that time you are going to repeatedly execute this set of statements. So that is the idea. And whenever value of a becomes 11, at that time you will come out of this particular loop in some sense, right? So using goto we can achieve this similar functionality. So before we go further, let's verify whether this particular code is working fine or not. So you can see it's printing down the multiplication table of 17. So now it looks fine, but it's as a reader it's very confusing, right? So now let's say I'm performing all the tasks with the use of goto. Then the very first problem with respect to this approach is you need to find out labels. For example, here there are two labels, label L1 and label L2. So I need to search where L1 appears, where L2 appears, and since there are no brackets, it is very much difficult to identify which portion of the program is going to be repeated with the use of this concept. So syntax, I hope it's clear. The syntax is simple. All you need to do is go to, and then you need to write down some label, and then this label must appear somewhere in your program. Then only control will go to that particular line. So that is the idea. Say here is you need to take care of this infinite loops, because if you are using go to and if you are not taking care of some criteria, then ultimately you will reach to infinite state. So for example, here, if I write something like this, go to, let's say L1, right? So now let me check what will be the output. So you can see there is a problem of infinite loop now. Because now what will happen, whenever control comes to L2, we are saying again go back to L1. So again, repeatedly, these two lines will be executed. Then when A becomes 11, at that time we are reaching to line number 11. But line number 12 is again sending us back to line number 5. So that means this repetition will continue forever. So this we need to take care whenever we are using goto, that infinite loops don't occur, right? So we need to use it intelligently, right? So that is the idea. But in traditional programming, we rarely use this particular goto. So and also one more thing, after whenever you are saying go to this particular line, after that line something must be written, right? So if you are saying go to line number 11 and line number 11 is the last line, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So whenever you are saying go to a particular label, after label you need to have at least one statement. So for example, here I am saying go to L2, so after L2 I have something, right? So in both the cases, so for example, if I don't write this, if I don't put if statement, then definitely we are in trouble, because now what will happen? You are starting your execution sequentially, and you are going from line number 5 to 7, and then line number 8 will tell you to go back to line number 5, and this will happen infinitely, right? So in between we need to write down some conditions. So this you need to take care whenever you are writing down a label and you are saying go to that particular label. In between, if you don't break it, then that segment will be executed infinitely. So between this L1 and this go to, I must write down some breaking criteria. Do you understand? So for example, if we just check this, then this is the issue, right? Issue of infinite loop. So what I need to do for this segment is getting executed repeatedly, but I need to put down some stopping criteria. So therefore we had written if statement, right? If a is equal to 11, at that time we will go to label 2, and then our task is completed, right? So this is all about go to.